I believe we played it this season, but I think it was like right at the start of the season, if I recall correctly. All right. So black-white vampires, or in a way, this is kind of like black-white tokens, Call to the Feast here, with making 3 1/1 white tokens. Again, because I like to call out people that make bad, or call out bad statements as they are made. We've had someone in comments, I'm sure, in chat, I'm sure people will comment on the YouTube video, that there's 4 swamps in my Marshal deck. So again, whether or not you can play a card like Marshal on curve is not related to how many non-white sources you have in your deck. It's related to how many white sources you have in your deck. So there are 20 white sources in this deck, which mathematically does mean we are not going to cast it on turn 3 all of the time. I think we're about 80% to have triple white on turn 3 with this mana base. That being said, the way this deck is set up with things like Radiant Destiny and lots of 2-drops and stuff, I think we're going to be fairly consistent to cast this card by turn 4 and 5, mathematically speaking, so I think it's more than fine. One question I kind of have with this deck is, I feel like this is a deck that can really leverage the card Immortal Sun well. Hey, Pandays, thanks for the 34-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. So I think even though I have 2 copies of Sorin in the main deck, in the matchups where I really want the Immortal Sun, it's going to be worth turning my Sorin's non-passives off to get the Immortal Sun to play, to like shut off their variety of much more powerful and like just more planeswalkers that they have. In fact, I think there's a possibility the format's even at a point where this card could arguably be main deck, but we're gonna start with it in the sideboard here and see how it feels. Let's go ahead and dive into a constructed event here and see how this goes. This was not a build around, it was a submission. I made a couple of small changes too, but again, I try not to deviate too much from the original submission, because I like to, sometimes there's cards that surprise me. So I don't like to cut things that look bad on the surface, because sometimes I end up like, oh, that was really good. Thank you, West Boss, for the link. It's a pretty easy mulligan, just nothing to do. London mulligans falling down, falling down, falling down. London mulligans falling down now. Please, Watsy. Have Sorin in the opener against Mono Red. Hopefully we live to get to cast that. Perfect. It's exactly what we wanted for Christmas. Any guess on when we get the London mulligan? I believe they said if we're getting the London mulligan, it'll happen with the core set. I have no idea, Pike. I do think History of Benalia is a card worth considering, just because it's an individually powerful card, and we have a couple of incidental knights. I don't know if, like, Champion of... Like, again, Champion of Dusk is a card that doesn't see a ton of play, so a card like that, I like to play with it a little bit firsthand to gain experience with it. I don't think there's a clear-cut best Bant deck in the format Equinox. There's a lot of different variations. I think the Bant Bow deck is good against aggro, Nexus, and Control, but I think it's bad against other mid-range decks. I think the Bant Vivian deck from the Open, for instance, is reasonable against other mid-range, but weaker in other spots. Alright, if anybody has a command for the survey that works, feel free to link it. I think we're dead here. I don't know that we're going to be able to power through this card. Whilst Misting Land drops. They're exceptionally unlucky we might be able to power through, but feels pretty unlikely. Easy trade here. I mean, if we hit a land and get to curve into Sorin, maybe we have a chance. Yeah, the opponent had a good start, and this is why, like, when you talk about... Perfect. Am I chump blocking here? I think I'm chump blocking here at this point. It's like a gain 4.
it burn.
Yeah, we're pretty dead. It checks the IP address. Sure, that makes sense. This card loses me life, so probably don't want that here. I think Marshal probably leaves a bit to be desired against the deck full of lightning strikes. I had them draw 7 lands off a Chandra Ultimate yesterday and I still lost. Sounds about par for the course. I think this is fine. I don't think Consecrate consumes probably too narrow. I don't think I want this for just Chandra. It's okay. It's soft to removal spell into Goblin Chain Whirler, but I think that quantifies most of our hands. One of the concerns about playing a deck like this deck is what I would refer to as a synergy deck, which means it tends to contain some cards that are individually a little bit weak, but they're really good when they come together. So when you play against decks that are heavily interactive, you can tend to struggle a little bit because your opponents pick apart your synergies and then leave you without a lot going on. Yeah, the WotC surveys are always incredibly long. If you're going to take the time to take the survey, you should make sure you have a little while. Long surveys are good and bad. You definitely lose people due to response exhaustion, but at the same time, you also get more information from the people that do complete it. So your completion rate is lower, but the info you get from people completing it is better, or more complete. Longer surveys like that tend to involve asking the same question multiple different ways to like remove response bias based on how the question is worded from the respondents. Jack the Maniac, thank you for the 18-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, remove some of it. Obviously not all of it. I mean, Wizards of the Coast very much wants data to exist. Like, they've cited, they just don't want the data to be public, which, you know, say what you will about that, but to say they don't want to use data, I think is silly and untrue. If you do complete the survey, I would encourage you to mention 2 things. The first is mention your favorite Magic streamer, and then also mention me. And the second is, if you like the idea of the London Mulligan, you should mention that you think the London Mulligan is sweet and should become the norm. That's assuming they don't ask questions about those things. I haven't taken the survey yet, so they might ask about thoughts on the London Mulligan and streamer-related questions, but... Alright, we're shocking my thing. I think I'm gonna pay 4. I think I'm at a high enough life total that I can pay 4 here. If they have Goblin Chain Whirler next turn, we're just dead, so... Although if they play Chain Whirler, they wouldn't be playing either of these, which is sweet for us. This Legion Lieutenant is going to be awesome, because we're going to get to gain 6 next turn. What's confusing? When 2 creatures fight, it means they deal damage to each other equal to their power. So that's what fight means. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and Radiant Destiny here, because Radiant Destiny insulates me against removal spell into Chain Whirler. So the stream has gotten wildly more popular in connection with Arena's rise in a period of really good Standard. If Standard gets bad again like it was when Arena came out, what's the plan? More Modern again? Well, I'm hoping that Wizards of the Coast can keep their crap together until we get a new non-rotating format in the fall. So the plan is, if Standard gets to a point where it's bad, we can play a non-rotating format on Arena as well. That being said, I would venture to guess that a bad format on Arena is still going to be more popular in terms of viewer account than a better format on Magic Online, just because of like how inaccessible Magic Online is. Showstopper coming in hot with the Twitch Prime support. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me employed here. I appreciate it. And like, as always, my decisions on this stream are going to be data-driven. So like, if I feel like things are changing, I'll run another sub-survey. In fact, I tend to run the sub-surveys once every 3 months or so. So we'll have another one in about 6 weeks, give or take. Magic Online is borderline impossible to watch. It's completely unconsumable unless you're heavily invested in Magic and know all the cards. I mean, the ruling says it's a May fight ability, but the life gain is guaranteed, but not if the fight mechanic is used, and as illegal, you don't gain life. So, the thing you need to understand there when it comes to the rules of Magic the Gathering Stormy Waters is that if a spell or an ability's only target is removed, that spell or ability is countered. So if the thing you're targeting to fight, even if you don't fight it, gets removed in response, it's then no longer a legal target and you can't fight. Then what is Paper Magic? Paper Magic is wildly difficult to watch. Moto's, if Moto was a 5 and Arena was a 9 in terms of watchability, Paper Magic's like a solid 4 right in the middle, in my opinion. Think they'll ever bring a Cube variant to Arena? Yeah, definitely. Cube is wildly popular and makes Wizards of the Coast piles of money. It will definitely be on Arena at some point. In fact, I would probably expect we'll see our first Cube on Arena once they backfill sets in for the new non-rotating format in the fall. What sort of streaming tools would be needed to make Paper Magic more watchable? It's simple. You need an overlay so people can mouse over the cards. In fact, that's one of my big pieces of feedback on the MPL. It blows my mind that they would spend literally millions of dollars on the MPL and then not spend the extra 10 or 20 grand that it would take to employ a developer to make the mouse overlay work with the MPL matches. It is a huge miss, in my opinion, that the MPL event that happened yesterday did not have Deckmaster integration. It is one of the biggest things that makes Arena accessible. I'm just gonna let this happen, I think. Am I? I'm a liar. Alright, didn't get Chain Whirlered. Step 1. Ooh. SCG does not have mouse over cards, last I checked. They have Deckless on the overlay, which the MPL also has. Yeah, I agree, Black Sheep. The other big miss, in my opinion, is that the one upside we should be getting from pre-recorded matches is that downtime should be greatly minimized, and they did not. It did not feel like they took the chance to minimize downtime. I think I'm just supposed to trade these here. Like, I'm gaining 6, but I think I want to save that 4 to activate this Adanto on defense here. If they have Goblin Chain Whirler here, my entire house of cards is going to crumble, because they're going to go land, Chain Whirler, Firebrand your Legion's Lieutenant, and then kill you. Yeah, I agree. The casters were excellent. Yeah, I agree. I'm like, showing more gameplay is one of those things that's like super correctable, right? Like, they can very easily show more gameplay in the following weeks. Holy crap. Wow. Sometimes they want it more than you, chat, and that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes they want it more than you. Right on time, Radiant Destiny. I'm not blocking with this, and I'm okay trading with either of these, so I'm gonna go ahead and attack. And this opponent, like, really wants it, right? Because they have Shake the Foundations on top of Chain Whirlers. Like a big old yikes. I could die here on the no blocks, but I think I need to run the no blocks into Radiant Destiny to win this game. Maybe I'm supposed to leave the Adanto Vanguard back to chump block the runaway. Yeah, I've definitely never read this Magic the Gathering card before, outside of, like, an initial spoiler sweep. You know, like 2 years ago when it happened. He's dead, Jim. Wow, they had a Lightning Strike and didn't dome me with it there. That seems incredibly loose. Vomit.
You should be flattered. My friend is here to help your pain.
Yeah, I don't think we can win anymore, right? It's just a lot of hate. I guess I have meaningful troops on defense here. Oh, I have Vigilance. Okay. So maybe Vigilance saves me here. So they have to double chump here to keep their Tybalt alive, which I think is necessary. They get to send 2 to my face, so I'm not out of the woodworks yet. Yeah, it feels like our opponents played this matchup before, and they're just like, I'm not having any of your crap, Jeff. Been there, done that. Killing one of my tokens seems loose. That seems much worse than just putting me to 6. Glowing red, no. Really? Okay. They disagree. Breezy Day, thank you very much for the brand new tier 1 sub. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your week. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Yep. Brutal. I'm gonna go to 1 here and hope to Fate a draw step next turn. The Sorin might actually be able to win us the game. So if they brick next turn, so do I want Adanto or do I want the Thorn Lieutenant? I think I just want Adanto, right? Oh. Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. That's much better. Because now I can 4 them. Okay, and this puts me to 5. Yeah, that's 10 out of 10 the line. We're still kind of dead to a removal burn spell, huh? Unless I want to chump block here, and I'm not sure I want to chump block here. The survey doesn't have anything about content creators or the mulligan rules. Usually they have a free response at the end. I would encourage you to mention both of those things. Definitely the mulligan rule. Hey, Master Chief. Our baby is so close, just another month. Thanks for the 2/3 of a year. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. If you think Reclamation is awful, I would definitely mention that too. In fact, the correct ways to approach mentioning content creators and things that you would like to see changed is the way companies works is you should say, X content creator, I spent money because I watch X. They encouraged me to give you money. And you should say things like, I would spend more money on Magic if X wasn't a card. if Reclamation wasn't legal. All right, so, hey, Bounty Hunter, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Do I play around a 3 damage burn spell here? I feel like I'm not supposed to, right? I think I'm just supposed to trade Adanto for V2. I could also play around nothing and block this here and pay 4. And that leaves me at 1. How do we feel about that? I think that might actually be the line. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think I'm gonna block here and pay 4. Oh no, I don't have lifelink. Oh no. I forgot what this card does. Well, that's a yikes. Oh no. Alright, let's hope to draw a spell this turn. Well, we have to block. I probably should have traded with the 2/2. Sorin, you're supposed to carry this entire game on your back. I don't have any cards in my hand. Why wouldn't you just lightning strike my creature? Why did you tank? Why did you tank, Mono Red player? Why? I don't care that they ripped the card. Just like, don't make me sit here for 2 minutes while your card kills me. Just cast your spell and let me concede. Please and thank you. Zan's like, okay, I have a removal spell or I have Radiant Destiny and to call the feast. Yeah, that's true. Maybe they also didn't know what Sorin did. To be fair, I didn't know what Sorin did either. So maybe, you know, never attribute malice to that which inadequate nonsense and not understanding explains. All right, we get a rematch against Mono Red. Let's do it. Skymarcher was a good draw. Wow, didn't offer the trade. Interesting. This is probably one of our better starts here against Mono Red, huh? I have a thing into Call the Feast. This card means we don't get just savaged by Goblin Chainwhirler, which is super appealing. If I get a chance to trade here, I'm snapping it off. I don't think I'm trading with this, though. Huh. So do I play Call the Feast here? I think I'm actually gonna Mortify plus play Skymarcher. So they can't just vomit their entire hand. Maybe that's wrong. I can see that being wrong. Good draw. Alright. Well, unless there's a main deck Tibalt in our future, I think we've likely locked this one up. I get to swing with the squad next turn and flip this. How much do I want to block here? I think I'm just going to block all of these on here. I think they're pretty unlikely to kill a ton of my stuff. So, if they deny me the ability to flip this turn, I could maybe get into trouble. But it feels like that's unlikely. So yeah, the Legion's landing flipping puts this game away very squarely. Yeah, they agree. I think I'm just gonna trim Marshal again because it just dies to 3 damage spells. Yeah, I'm gonna run it back. Opponent feels like they're unlikely to win 2 of the next 3. Hey, Doug. Good games. Good luck in the rest of your event. Thanks for the Prime support. I think I just got a mulligan this, unfortunately. This is a hand that, like, needs to draw lands and needs to draw spells, and it already has 4 lands in it, so it just needs a little bit too much. London mulligans falling down, falling down, falling down. London mulligans falling down now. Please, Watsy. I mean, the only reason Savit seems like a poor addition to the MPL is we have no idea what the criteria is which they're choosing to add people to the MPL. And based on their latest 2 editions, it just seems to be whoever they want. They also mentioned adding 16 slots. They're going to be like personality style slots to all of the other championship tournaments moving forward. So seems like they're kind of changing. They're like changing what it felt like the MPL was prior. I bet it's the same criteria they use for the modern ban list. God bless you, Elsick. I've not read Jerry's statement yet. I'm told the statements are kind of long, so I just got some small bits and pieces. I'm going to take the time to read everything later tonight. I might not get to all of the decks in my deck queue today. We'll see. I guess the viewer count's good. I'm not feeling 100% great, so taking the time to read through that might be good too, because I'm just not feeling well. Well, we don't have lands, but we at least have castable spells. Yeah, of course I'd do the MPL if I was given a chance. That chance will never happen, though. That's not realistic. I stream too much Magic and not enough Hearthstone or Auto Chess to get an invite like that. I guess this just means Blast Zone's gonna tick up here, which is unfortunate. They have a lot of 2s. Yeah, links are welcome. There's actually a command in chat that links. Remember the time I played my Lord post-combat? Alright, my audio bug is going weird. These people are great by their stuff. I'll restart here really quick. For the record, just to show you that I am not needlessly negative and I call out things that I think are good things to do. I think adding people like Savits to the MPL and having these slots that they're going to fill with personalities and random popular people at these events, I think that's a good idea. Money that they pump into things like the MPL is their advertising budget. So things that make their advertising budget go further by inviting popular people, that just makes sense in my opinion. So I think Savits is a good add to the MPL. I just think he breaks the precedent that they've set so far, and the fact that they haven't publicly announced how they're doing these things leaves people confused, right? Again, the lack of communication is the issue far more than the actual decision that was made. The uncertainty is what makes it not ideal. Good chance we're dead here. I'm gonna concede since we just stumbled. Watsy being opaque, Esper missing land drops, death taxes, etc. Alright, let's bring in a bunch of interaction here. We're going to cut some of this more expensive top end that doesn't really do anything. Radiant Destiny doesn't attack and block itself, so that's probably a trim. This is probably an okay trim as well. The rest of this seems fine. I think Sun's too expensive for this matchup. By the time we're getting to 6 mana a lot of the time, it's just not very great. They're gonna have like counter spells and stuff up like that. I mean, kinda Daybreaks. If I was inside the MPL, I would want to know the criteria. How do I get back next year, right? Like, you have these people that are hoping to do Magic as a job, and, like, as long as the criteria for getting into and getting back into the MPL is not set up, you have these people who are supposed to be, like, your personalities that are, like, wondering, am I gonna be employed next year? Which is, like, not good for, like, their, like, mental health and, like, consistency of things, right? I think I lead on this. It's a little awkward. Sanctum Seekers, maybe? Sanctum Seeker definitely seems okay against Reclamation. Drawing a 2-drop here that doesn't take black mana is actually really good, because it means that I get to play this into this. It's a little annoying. Yikes. I mean, I guess I'm just taking Tamiyo, right? Yeah, sure, but again, Daybreak's like, if you're not having objective criteria to get in and out based on performance, like, is it really a pro league at that point? Like, are these, like, then I feel like, again, this is something I had a problem with the Pro Tour for a long time. Like, the Pro Tour was a promotional tour, right? Like, these are people who are promoting the game, but they're not paid like professionals, right? So, like, if the goal is just be advertising, great. Like, be upfront about that. Like, this is our advertising league, right? But again, the lack of, like, describing what this is feels weird to me. Yep, still just a promo league. No one really watched everything. I mean, that's just not true. In fact, as someone who for a long time focused on competitive Magic and then took a step back to focus on more casual Magic while streaming, casual Magic is far and away more popular than competitive pro Magic could ever dream of being. They're taking 12 here. Correct, Cummy Pizza. Correct. Like I can tell you when I play a tier 1 deck and I play a deck that's a total joke, I know for a fact which of those two decks is going to be more successful on YouTube that week. Alright, the Search for Azcanta is flipping next turn. They don't have a Wilderness Reclamation yet, though, so they're not super close to comboing off. No, I don't think that's true, Dirilic. There's a reason why when I was at my... the little bit of SCG notoriety, that's related to my initial start on Twitch, but you need an initial start to get started on Twitch, but just having that doesn't make you popular, right? Like, I streamed for years focusing on just competitive stuff, and there's a reason why my stream was never more than a hobby when I was doing that. Yay! Correct, that's also true. My initial audience from SCG was the fact that I was playing competitive Magic with unique and interesting decks, right? Like, I wasn't top 8ing Modern Tournament after Modern Tournament with Trot. I was top 8ing Modern Tournament after Modern Tournament with Kiki Chord. Feels bad, man. Reachless aggro against Wilderness Reclamation is no bueno. How did Vengeful go? Above expectations, felt very reasonable. Alright, they're through... They really threw only 2 fogs? No, they're through 3. 1, 2, 3. A different artwork. So they chose to cast Insight instead of activating Azcanta. Does that mean they already have Root Snare in their hand? I didn't make a token there because it doesn't matter. You know what the worst part is? If we win this game, I have to play against this again. Maybe we're just gonna concede. Well, we won. It means we're rewarded by getting to play against Wilderness Reclamation again. You know, in fact, I'm gonna put these 2 Sorins back in and cut these, because this can kill them through, a fog. Yeah, right? Like, that's the epitome of the Reclamation deck, right? Like, we won and it still feels bad. Simic does not have sweepers. Easy mulligan here. We have a piece of interaction, but we don't have any efficient pressure. And we definitely need pressure to go with our disruption to win this matchup. Sweet. We don't have either of our 1-drops, but we got a quality 2-drop plus a piece of disruption. Perfect. So we get to go 1, 2, disruption. Opponent mulliganed low. Maybe we have a chance. Maybe their deck won't work this game. If I clicked more slowly, I'd have dealt 1 more point of damage. I'm going to decline playing this, as this is probably ticking up to 2. Or not. This Despark might get us there. Breakout decks from today. Temur Manaphyr was fun. I don't know that I'd call it a breakout, though. Adanto's nice, because it's another 2-drop I can deploy to the board to add further pressure that doesn't play into a Blaststone popping. Watch them survive at, like, 1 life, because I missed a point of damage earlier. That would be rough. As long as I have Adanto up BDP, I'm insulated from that, so that's nice. Yay, magic. I mean, they don't have a search for Iskanta, and like, as long as I have this Despark in my hand, Reclamation gets worse, so... Like, this game feels bad, but we're actually ahead right now. Their Blast Zone's on 1. It doesn't really matter what their Blast Zone's on. It doesn't stop us from killing them. Alright, are y'all ready for that third fog? Yay! Your turn, opponent. Alright, chugging along. They have one more fog in their deck, right? One more root snare. For people that are newer to Magic, when I say fog, there's an old Magic card called Fog that prevents all combat damage. It's like the OG kind of. Are you dead yet? What an interesting and stimulating and engaging game of Magic the Gathering my opponent and I have partaken in here. I really felt like I got to leverage my play skill and make meaningful decisions. I'm gonna stand up for a bit and run to use the restroom really quick. When I get back, we're gonna play a couple more with this. Thanks for hanging out, folks. All right, we disconnected mid-match, so we have to rejoin. Why can't we go? Here's my thing. Yeah, I don't know that Sanctum Seeker really fixes problems that we have. What do you think about it, Starry Bridge and Standard? Get out of here. Get out of here. How did I like Temur Vannifar? It's very reasonable. Rekindling Phoenix is just like a great card, and that's like a deck that like really leverages Rekindling Phoenix well. Speaking of Elsic, looks like we're playing against a blue-white Super Friends deck. The districts are here and they are ready to be mobilized, chat. Well, not quite yet, but soon. My opponent's not likely to pressure my life total, so just like trading for life for their Fibble Fip seems fine here.
It's hard to be a genius surrounded by less than I'm well equipped to deal with nuisances like you.
No attacks, because Dovin has made this not be able to. Call to Feast being made more expensive by this is a little awkward. Blast Zone is incredibly good against us.
I won't hide from the no time for a break.
Feels like if I don't hit a land next turn, I'm probably... I fundamentally disagree with you, Gary Guy. There is a very important fundamental difference between games that are brutal and fast and games where you are potentially losing the game while you have to sit there captive for multiple turns. And if you don't understand that difference, I'm probably not be able to get through to you. I think your fundamental point is that everybody has something in Magic that they don't like playing against. I definitely think that's true, but the way Wilderness Reclamation actually takes time to win the game is fundamentally different than any of those other decks you just listed. When you're playing against mono red and trying to be as competitive as possible, you don't feel obligated to sit there and play Magic hoping that your opponent misses their 1%er for 10, 15, 20 minutes. They're very, very different things.
We're studying contrasts. I'm excellent, and you're, well...
Ryan Possible, thank you for the brand new tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Like I said, it's okay to say you enjoy Wilderness Reclamation, like, more power to you. Magic's definitely a game about playing decks that you enjoy playing, but pretending that Wilderness Reclamation is in any way close to the same as things like Mono Red, I think is just hot nonsense. You don't actually understand what makes the decks poor to play against. I also think past that, what shows too is the amount of I often talk about what I think makes quality gameplay in Magic, and you'll often hear me refer to what I refer to as player agency. And even without Nexus of Fate, just the Reclamation decks in general, like the Teamer Reclamation decks, those are decks that tend to lack player agency, because decks that don't revolve around creatures for doing their big, powerful things are decks that tend to be very difficult to interact with. And the number of interaction points you remove from a given deck removes player agency from the game, because you end up with more games where you just, like, don't get to do anything. And if you wanna have a very practical example way of what I'm talking about, write down the list of main deck cards in the average main deck that you can play that interact with Mono Red, and then write down the list of main deck cards that you can play to interact with Wilderness Reclamation and Nexus of Fate. And that is the reason why Wilderness or Nexus of Fate was banned in Best of One, especially, is because if you look in Best of One, a lot of the cards that are good against these decks are sideboard cards. And that doesn't even get into the fact that you have to sit there captive through it. I think we're pretty dead here. I'm going to go along to the next one. Yeah, I agree. I think something like Wilderness Reclamation is definitely closer, for comparison's sake, to something like a control deck rather than something like a mono red deck. Again, focusing on things like player agency as the perspective that I want to come at the question from. All right, so I definitely want my Immortal Suns. I think I'm going to cut Marshal because it kind of just encourages me to extend. The life gain from this isn't super relevant, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that in addition to it being a non-bow with the Immortal Sun. I need 2 more trims here. Is Call of the Feast not stellar? It's a little bit slow. Maybe these just aren't good enough. I'm gonna trim these so it's not a threat on its own. I mean, Vona is its own life gain. Do I ever do any brewing? Yeah, a lot of the decks. Do I do brewing on stream is maybe your question, and that's something I shy away from. Building decks on stream tends to turn into a bunch of people screaming card recommendations at me with no validation for why I should play them, and it's not particularly good or popular content. Did we submit 61? If we did, I didn't do it on purpose. Maybe I did. We'll find out in a second. This hand just has no pressure, so need to mulligan. This hand is reasonable. Not amazing, but fine. Did I submit 62? No, I definitely submitted 61, because I'm down to 6. Well then, they mulligan to 5, and honestly, I'd probably keep this 5-2. I take their Saheeli. Yeah, there's a lot of decks. So, like, the Bant Bow deck we played recently was something that I put together. There are, well, I do play a lot of viewer-submitted deck lists. Something that I also offer people to do is to submit a base idea for a deck, as opposed to submitting everything. So people will say, hey, Jeff, build a deck or decks around this given idea. All right, so I think I'm actually going to Legion's Landing into this, and then I can Radiant Destiny next turn, attack with these as 2/2s and flip this. Where do I hide my deck list? My deck list can be found on my YouTube channel. They can be found on my website. They can be found on the deck queue on my website. There's nothing hidden around these parts. Everything is very, very... We are the most organized stream on Twitch. Easy to find what you're looking for here if you just look around a little bit. It's all there. If there's something that someone could possibly want to have have access to, there's probably a command for it. Rather than attacking and trading like a 1-1 for their 1-1 here, I'd rather just wait till I can Radiant Destiny, I think. That's a Duress. Sign me up. Yep. Bye, Felicia. I'm just gonna attack them here. I'd have to send a bunch of things at this, and I'd rather just pressure them out of the game, I think. Where do you find my home phone number? It's 2019. I don't have a home phone number.
Hone your control.
Even my parents don't have a home phone number anymore. Yeah, and for the record, Fearburger, I think having fringe decks that can be kind of tedious to play against but aren't very powerful but offer a very unique style of gameplay, I think those are fine to exist in the format on occasion. But when you have something like Reclamation that's very powerful in addition to being tedious, so it's common, like, something like Reclamation should be, if you remember the Esper Amulet deck we played last season, if you've been around for a little bit, something like Esper Amulet that's like, does something neat, but ultimately is kinda bad, so it's novel when it happens, should be the norm for decks like that, in my opinion. So, Ninja Dave, if you talk to your phone companies, you can actually transfer your home phone line to a cell phone, which is what my parents did. Which just makes a lot of sense in 2019. I'm not sure what the context of that joke was supposed to be, Grim, but let's not make jokes about ethnicity on my channel. That is a Kazmenia, the Mentor. Hoping to draw another Lord or Anthem style effect next turn. Our 2-drop Vampire Lord or an Immortal Sun. I think I'm going to click submit. What's an Anthem song? That's a good question. So an Anthem in Magic is jargon for an effect that gives your creatures +1/+1. And the term Anthem pays homage to the card Glorious Anthem, which is just a 3-mana white enchantment that gives all your creatures 1/1 while it's in play. I submitted 61 again. Listen, it worked in game 2. Listen, chat. If it was good enough for game 2, it darn well better be good enough for game 3. And by that, I mean I forgot and should have fixed it. Urinal the Turtle, thanks for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And Lost Way, thanks for checking in for the 14th month. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Listen, someone earlier had asked me how often I submit 61 these days, and I said never, so... Obviously, Hoagland posts blatant misinformation while on Twitch. Come at him. Come get him. Hand's okay here. Gets to start off with a decent curve. 2-power 1-drop into 3-power 2-drop. A little bit baffled by this play here. Extra land here is great, because it means I can play both of these next turn. I like them playing this out proactively. The rest of their deck tends to be a lot of sorcery speed stuff, so just using their mana on curve tends to be important.
I wrote an entire treatise on your impending fate. There are many who have turned weakness into a virtue.
Unfortunate that this costs 5, although I guess I can actually play this next turn if I get to flip this over. Teo the Shield Mage, yep. Actually, I might want a Champion of Dusk next turn, huh?
This is what I trained.
Unless they miss a land drop. If they miss a land drop, maybe I won't. That thing's got sweet art.
Curious. Your defects don't seem to bother you.
Alright, so do I call the feast, or do I... They're not sweeping the board next turn, right? Because their sweepers cost 5. So I think I just call the feast, because then I get to draw a bunch of cards next turn. I don't know, I think they're far enough away from a sweeper that I just like, wait a turn on this.
Join my order. Unity is necessary in times of war.
Talk to the wall.
I'm well equipped to deal with.
I don't care about the static text on this, right? You have hexproof. Ooh, I guess it does turn off my Duresses.
The new lesson.
Jabalak, thank you for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright, so as much as let's start with this and draw a bunch of cards. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. Lipis, thanks for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. So if I do this here, I can do all of these here as well. That means this Casmenia will die, which is nice because I don't want them to make another 2-2, because 2-2s are rude. They're going to make me pay 4, really. Okay, well, I pay 4 and I gain 4. I'm going to go land Skymarcher here because I don't have to discard otherwise. And, like, if they sweep my board next turn, I pay 4 and keep these. This is also just like a 4/4 for 5. You should always cut to 60 if you're playing optimally. And the easiest way to think about that is there's always a card in your deck that you want to draw more than some of the other cards in your deck, right? So you might as well submit 60 because you're less likely to draw the ones you really want to draw. Alright, so I'm going to send both of these at him. I'm going to send the rest of these at Dovin. And I want to take Teo out of play here because I wanted to rest them, and he's giving them hexproof.
Clearly, the shortcomings here were mine.
Anthem effect first, yeah, probably. That is a new-ish addition, the clicking things over. I guess if I would have played all of these, are they still dead this turn? They might still be dead this turn. It's new-ish. I believe it got added with the patch for this set. If I recall correctly. How do I feel about this? Because I could draw another Anthem. I think you'd rather have Marshal as a card that's individually powerful. Like, does something on its own. Alright. We've cleared through a good smorgasbord of stuff, huh? We beat Red Aggro, we beat Nexus, and now we've beaten a Planeswalker control deck, which is kind of like, hits on like the three parts of the format, right? Well, if they play the Narset, how are they going to cast the Sweeper, Zach? They're dead on board the following turn. So I think you're right. If I didn't have them dead the following turn, taking the Narset's correct. But because they were dead the following turn, it was miserable, but we did beat Nexus. We weren't happy about it, but we did win. The Nexus of Fate story. We weren't happy about it, but we won. Alright, might be getting a chance here to prove that beating Nexus wasn't a fluke. Well, that's exciting. That's exciting. I mean, the good news is we're actually not in that terrible a spot with the blast zone. Because, like, if they blast zone us, they're losing a land, right? So I get to, like, hit them for 9 here, down to 9, and, like, play another thing. So, like, even if they blast zone all of these off, I still have 6 power in play. So, like, it feels bad, but it's, like, not the Stone Cold Bratwurst. Yay, Wilderness Reclamation. Alright, they're dead in 2. Ooh, that's exciting. That's exciting. I have 2 Mortifies in my main deck. We get to draw 4 here. Because I assume they're going to pop this Blast Zone in response to prevent us from drawing 3. None of those cards help us beat the fogs that are going to start happening endlessly. That being said, my opponent only has 2 cards in their graveyard, so maybe we have a shot here. Their Azcanta's not anywhere near flipping just yet. This is the way we spin our tires, spin our tires, spin our tires. This is the way we spin our tires early in the morning. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Have a good one, Black Sheep. Not attacking Narset, because either they're dead or they're not taking combat damage. Those are the 2 possible outcomes here. This is the way we spin our tires, spin our tires, spin our tires. This is the way we spin our tires early in the morning. Do 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 do. This is the part where they like play Tamiyo and pick their fog back up. Yay! Yay! Wilderness Reclamation! Yay!
Opportunity for new data. I have learned much from my ancestors.
Do 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 do. Could you imagine how much worse this deck would be if they would have just put the text on here, prevent damage that would be dealt to you, if they just, like, let them kill Planeswalkers still? Yeah, this is Schrodinger's game of Magic. We've both simultaneously lost the game and won the game at the same time, and we have no idea. Just not a clue. I'm not here to play Magic. I'm here to watch someone else play Magic. Why can't you do the same? That's great. And now, like, if they take an extra turn here, Tamiyo's Plus, for whatever reason, allows them to put the cards into their graveyard. So now Tamiyo's Plus has fueled their search for Azcanta, which means we're very likely to lose to that. So they have 2 mana plus 5, so they're going to cast Nexus of Fate here during their end step. I don't think our deck needs Reach. I think Reach is some bias for the fact that, like, playing against Nexus of Fate feels really bad. Maybe I want this to draw interaction on occasion. Probably fine. Maybe going all right, Forklift. We're winning more than we're losing, but we've played against a lot of Reclamation, so it hasn't been particularly fun. Our win rate is okay, though. If we lose this, we went 3-2. I'm playing this in paper, and at my last FNM, I was comboing off against a kid running Big Red Idiots.deck, and they said, this is like watching someone play Magic on YouTube. Yep. Apt descriptor. I'm actually not gonna Duress on 1 here, because ideally I want to go Vanguard into Marshal on 3, I think. So I'm gonna give myself the possibility to play lands to enable that to happen. By waiting on the Duress, I also get to give them more chances to draw a Reclamation or a Planeswalker that I care about. However, this does mean if they have Search for Azcanta, they get to deploy that before I can Duress them. Grazer. That's rude. Thunk. Love tap. Baby love tap. Baby, baby love tap. Baby love tap. Do, 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 do. Is Bond of Flourishing a new staple in Nexus Fate? I don't know. I've seen it played with some frequency. I don't know that I've spent enough time looking at the deck list to determine if it's a staple or not. Oh, I could just never beat Biogenicus next turn. That's great. I guess I can give myself 1 turn to draw Despark or Mortify. But they untap with this card we're just dead. It's a great example of why cards like Unmoored Ego aren't very good against good Reclamation players that build their deck well. Yay! I think Grazer's really sweet. Grazer's a card that blocks for them and ramps for them. So I feel like one of my takeaways from playing this was I was actually kind of surprised at how the red matchup felt. It felt like we were more than reasonable there, in large part because of Radiant Destiny acting as a way to make our creatures bigger than everything our opponent could have going on. I think if I was expecting to play against Wilderness Reclamation a bunch with this deck, I would definitely make sure to put Sanctum Seeker in my deck. I think that's a card that in general I don't think I'm interested in playing, but I think if I was explicitly expecting Reclamation to be 40% of my matches, then I would play it, because that's a way that we can kill them through their fog effects, because it deals damage, or it makes them lose life when you attack with a creature. You know, that being said, I had a bunch more decks lined up for today, but I think I'm actually going to go ahead and end a little bit early. Christy and Declan were both sick over the weekend, so I didn't really get to sleep a lot, and I'm feeling a little bit under the weather myself. So I'm going to, rather than push myself, I'm going to take it easy and come back tomorrow, I think. So thanks everyone for watching. Remember, if you want more content from me, I did stream on Saturday, so if you didn't catch my Saturday stream, you can find that on my website and my YouTube channel, magicesports.net, videos, favorite, standard, etc. If you want to keep watching here on Twitch, I'm going to go ahead and find someone else streaming Constructed currently to give a host to. Hey, Savitz is on.